Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across this beautiful blue-green globe of ours. Welcome to Real News Live. I'm your host, Mike Barra, in Las Vegas, Nevada. It is a toxically masculine Tuesday, and I'm joined, as I always am, by the usual crew. I'm drinking a little whiskey, a little Crown Royal, and some Dr. Pepper. It's a weak one, but I'm drinking it. Great to have you here, joined, of course, by the man on my immediate right, the man you cannot drive in a car for 5 hours without coming away smarter, the man with a brain the size of a planet, Dr. Brooks Agnew, master engineer, master at everything. Brooks, how you doing tonight? How much work to get done on the house, and what are you drinking?
Oh, well, I'm actually just drinking water tonight, but I got a lot done. Yeah, we're going to get through our 3 inspections this week, and then off to insulation and drywall.
Yeah, right. Drywall time. And, of course, the man immediately below me there, but not below me or behind me in any way, shape, or form in terms of humanity, the Minnesota Timberwolves fan of the group. I was going to say Dr. Blake Wally, but it's TV's Blake Wally, epic Cub reporter Blake Wally. Blake, how you doing, man? And what are you drinking? You got to be through that Maker's Mark, right? It's done, right?
Yeah, I finished the Maker's 46. I have moved on to my new bottle of Larceny, which is pretty good stuff. And yes, I'll be celebrating. Hopefully the Timberwolves will win tonight and buck the trend, because the last 2 times I was in this shirt with this background, they lost. They're only 2 losses of the playoffs, and they are a 7.5 point underdog tonight. So we're going to buck that trend tonight.
We don't want them to lose. I'll tell you this. Everyone in Seattle is rooting for the Timberwolves. I'm just going to tell you that. I mean, I don't even watch basketball, but I'm still rooting for the Timberwolves. And, of course, it's time to welcome back the most annoying man on the planet, the most masculine member of the group, the guy who just pisses us off by getting sick, Steve Doran, the trail boss. Hey, you fuck, how you doing? Good to see your face. I hate to say that.
Getting better immediately.
Yeah.
It's not about getting sick. It's about getting better.
Yeah.
And I got better.
Steve got sick, and then the sickness, he scared the sickness away when it got into him. I was like, oh, shit.
Pretty much. I was in the hospital for, 5 or 6, 7 days, something like that.
Yeah.
And so the doctor came in, and she had a big smirk on her face, and she said, if you can get out of that bed and walk across the room, she said, I'll discharge you. And she started laughing, and I got up and walked across the room, and I said, sign the discharge papers, lady. I'm out of here.
Wow.
And here I am.
That is Steve Doran. That's Steve Doran, the most masculine member of the group.
But the treatment did. My voice is. I was going to be on last week, but as Mike will tell you, I could hardly squeak out any volume. So at least now my voice is coming back.
Yeah, your voice was not quite the usual deep masculine tenor.
But you can at least hear me now.
Yes, we can. We can hear you very well. And in all honesty, it's really great to have you back. You had us worried there for a while. Turned out to be not much ado about nothing, but much ado about not as much as it was. So, but we're still glad to have you back. And we're going to talk to you. We're going to talk about your situation today a little bit more openly and honestly than you want to, because you're a man. But we're going to get into ivermectin and Fen-Ben and some things like that when we get a little bit deeper in the show. But Deborah says, hey, Mike, I was just wondering why your podcasts are mostly scheduled for 5 after, because my co-hosts sometimes are a little late coming to so I always schedule for 5 after, and then I tell her it starts at 5, let's say at 6, or it's top of the hour. So give us a little leeway. And sometimes I'm late because I'm late, or we're waiting for news or something like that. All right.
Who has to eat a taco? That's usually it. Taco pizza. So.
Taco, pizza, oatmeal cookie. I'm eating Regina Mitchell's oatmeal cookies. Regina, by the way, if you're out there, let me know what platform you're on. I'll make you a moderator. So Ruben Darren's here. Hi, Ruben Darren. Good morning. Well, it's morning for you over there. And what is it, Bangladesh? I think he lives. Pray for your good health, Steve Doran. Thank you, man. That is really, really nice. Larry Fletcher says, welcome back to the Trail Boss. Good evening, Patriots. I don't know why you said that because Bill Belichick's not here. Although Bill Belichick is a king. He's now engaged to a 24-year-old hottie. So good for Bill at the age of 79. Good for Bill. Marcos is glad you're doing better, and it's so good to see Steve and looking so well. So the ladies, good. Steve Doran. All right.
It's not how you feel, it's how you look, and I always look good. That's all that matters.
That's right. That's right. You always look good. All right, guys. We are going to start with a really interesting thing that happened today on the House floor, just because it's so really amusing. Representative Nancy Mace told the entire world that she was going to get naked on the House floor today. And of course, this led to a whole bunch of memes. Where did I thought I had it here. Where is the video?
So everybody who shows up and normally doesn't vote was there for that, right?
Yeah, they were there for that. Okay, here it is. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to share that one. And we're going to click into this.
Today in my hearing, I'm going to dissect what that guy did to dozens of women hidden on a hidden camera and other devices as he recorded them with impunity, without their knowledge, without their permission, and without their consent. Patrick Bryant, I hope you're ready. I'm also going to be sharing some of the imagery that Patrick Bryant, that guy right there, took of myself and other women without our knowledge, without our permission, without our consent. Naked bodies, women's legs spread apart, different genital areas. And he had a catalog almost, I think, these different fetishes of what types of videos and photos he liked to capture of women without their knowledge. I'll go over that too. I'm also going to be going over some of the bills that I've worked on, particularly on voyeurism, the Sue Voyeurs Act and the Stop Voyeurs Act. Those bills were born out of the videos I saw of myself and many other women, because this is not about me. I'm fighting for their rights. We have 3 witnesses coming in today, and I hope that you'll tune in to hear my questions of the experts and see some of the evidence this guy did to women, to hurt them, to strip away their privacy. And he did it for years. And he saved those files of those women for years, one up to a decade. This man still roams free to film women without their knowledge, without their permission, without their consent. Nothing is stopping him from continuing to do that.
Well, I would think a congressional hearing would probably stop him. So Nancy Mace posted, the memes came hot and heavy. Yes, I'm going there today. I will show my naked body. I'm like, well, I don't know. Have you guys seen Nancy Mace? I'm kind of down for that. There's another Nancy Mace while addressing Congress. There's that one. Let me show you.
Well, I'm not getting it. I mean, she appeared before Congress to show her naked body.
Well, no, we're going to get to that. Nancy Mace in Congress. There's this one. Meanwhile, Nancy Mace in Congress. Okay, stop with that. And then, that's a fake. That's at somebody's knee. But Nancy Mace, she says she will show herself completely naked on the floor of Congress today. I said release the Kraken. We had a few other ones that were pretty hilarious. The Babylon Beast says Nancy Mace says she'll release as much naked footage of herself as it takes to fight the exploitation of women. Kevin De Bruyne gets a statue at Etihad Stadium. Good for you. Here's some other pictures of Nancy Mace. And here she is in the hot tub, says she plans to reveal her naked body. And there was one other one that was absolutely hilarious. Yeah, it says, come on, Congresswoman Nancy Mace, let's see what those gunboats look like for the good of America. So, wow. And so what happened was what she actually did, and I haven't seen a video of it yet, but all it was a picture of it was a video. It was apparently some sort of surveillance video, like in an Airbnb or something, of her, and that she says that's her walking around this place naked. And it was blurry and blurred out, and the gunboats were not part of it. So this is a difficult question for me in some ways, because it's like there's two different aspects, and it's cultural. This is a cultural thing, but I hear her, right? I mean, hidden surveillance cameras, woman rocking around naked, happened to Erin Andrews. She was in a hotel room, and some guy stuck a little tube camera up to the peephole in her door and filmed her naked, while she was getting. It was actually, she did a few weird things. Let's just put it that way. So this is a difficult question to me because I do think absolutely it should be a misdemeanor to like secretly record somebody like that. It should be a misdemeanor to release that. I agree with that. You're entitled to your privacy. On the other hand, we have a culture now where women, Rollo Tomasi, I believe you know about him, Blake, is a guy who wrote a book called The Rational Male. And he talks about how women crave attention, and they crave attention for their sexual desirability. And they're always flashing stuff. They're always getting naked. They're all, whenever they protest, they always take their tops off. It's crazy stuff. So I want to put this out there as a cultural issue. Because it comes back to, she's got these bills that are really going to restrict free speech. And I feel like I'm a libertarian and self-responsibility person. So I'm going to throw this question out to the panel. Woman voluntarily sends you pictures of herself naked. That becomes your property, and you should be able to do anything you want with that. I don't think that she has any right to privacy for that material after she's voluntarily put it out in the airwaves. And I don't think that should be a crime. On the other hand, I think this kind of stuff, apparently it's surveillance footage, should not be okay. I don't know why she went and did this today, but Blake, Brooks, let's start with Steve Doran. Welcome him back. Steve, what do you think? Do you think there's a distinctive difference there? And do you think this ought to be illegal? I certainly don't think it should be a felony, but I do think it should be, finable offense or something like that.
Well, I do think it should be a felony. People have a right to privacy. If you're in a hotel room that you've paid for, you have a right to believe that whatever you do in that room is secure, and that you shouldn't have to worry about it going out on the internet, regardless of what it is. I mean, it doesn't even have to be sexual. It could be a conversation you and I have before you go out on stage or something like that, and somebody records it and puts it on the internet. To me, that is a felonious act, and the person should be charged with a felony because they are not a party to our conversation. Now, let's say you and I have a conversation and I record it. That's different because I'm a party to the conversation. I don't have to tell you anything, and I can do whatever I want with it because we're both participating in it. As far as somebody sending you sexually explicit photos, as long as you don't use it to basically blackmail them, hey, I'm going to put this out on the internet unless you give me $100,000. Basically, if you put it out for free or whatever you do with it is your business because it becomes your property. They send it to you. But if you do try to use it to compromise them in some way, whether it's financially, personally, whatever the case may be, then it should be a felony, in my opinion.
Well, again, I think to me, this is a masculine thing. As it comes back to me, and Brooks, you may disagree with me here. I think this is another way where women don't want to take responsibility for what they do. I mean, they send, look, most women I know, women under 30, and even women the same age as Nancy Mace. I mean, I saw Letitia James nudes, okay, and I can never unsee them. But I would pay Ernst Stavro Blofeld to take a dental drill and drill into my brain and carve out the parts where those memories are stored. I would give him money to do that to me. Everybody does it. They all do it, but they don't. But like now it's like, oh, you send a guy a picture of yourself and in some explicit compromising way, and then he gets in trouble if you don't like it.
What I said was if he uses it to exploit them in some way, he says, okay, I'm going to give me 50 grand or I'm going to put it out on the internet.
Right, and I agree with that absolutely.
If he just puts it out on the internet, tough.
Yeah, that's blackmail, that's felony, but she's trying to make it illegal for a man to even put that on the internet. Brooks, you got any thoughts or opinions on this one? It was timely, so I thought we'd start with that.
I grew up on the beach in Southern California, and women would just wear whatever they didn't want to wear. But it was so tiny, and some of the women were so beautiful you couldn't take your eyes off. And they get mad at you. Why are you looking at me? Why are you dressed like that? Nowadays, you don't have to worry about that because all the women are fat. But if somebody's sexting you, and they send a graphic picture of themselves to your phone and you use it to embarrass them or get revenge porn or whatever on them, I don't think it's appropriate. I think that whatever is shared between two people should be between two people, and you should not use it to revenge out on anybody. Men are, especially once you become a plant manager or a manager of some kind, you go through classes and training and all this stuff to know how not to put yourself in that compromising position. You just are trained not to, even though naturally you would say, gee, you look nice today. You can't say that anymore. So we're kind of put in a little box. But the average person, if some girl, lowers her shirt, shoots a selfie of her breast and sends it to you on your cell phone, and she's 22 years old, when she's 42 years old and has 3 kids and a mortgage, that picture would be very damaging to her. So I think it should be kept private.
But Blake, I hear you, and I agree with that. But this literally this bill that she's proposing, there could be a street festival, and I've been to street festivals in LA and San Diego and New Orleans, and I could be filming and some girl could walk by and pull her top down while I'm filming. And if I posted that somewhere, they're trying to make that a crime and call the person that does that a sex offender. That's what this bill proposes, and I think that goes way too far.
That's definitely wrong from the perspective that we discussed. If somebody willingly, openly sends you something or displays something and you put it up, tough.
Well, the thing is, when you do that, you're taking a risk, right? I mean,
sure.
I'm not
the other issue that you got to look at, which is scary, is that person who pulls their shirt up maybe 16, 15, 14. Then you've got another thing to deal with.
I just thought about that. That is another problem. But do you think that what I'm getting to here is, should we not be criminalizing something as trivial as that when it's voluntary? I mean,
I think what Nancy Mace is doing is going after the predators that actually place a hidden camera.
That's not what this bill will say. This bill says that again, if Nancy Mace sends me topless photos and says, "Oh, Mike, you're the best," use it any way you want, and I post it somewhere, it's not just that she can sue me for embarrassing her. She could turn me into the cops, and then I would be considered a predator. That's crazy. I think that's fucking crazy. Blake, I gotta find out what you think. You're a private conservative guy in some ways. What do you think?
Fair enough. I probably need more clarity on the entire issue, and I don't know the entire context. She's playing the victim here. I'm not sure I haven't seen everything, but I'm kind of surprised it doesn't seem as scandalous unless I haven't heard all the details yet. But if people were, this is her almost ex-husband. She was engaged. This is her former fiance.
Yeah.
And I don't know. She's claiming that she was drugged and that he's taking pictures. That is awful. But I don't know if she was just like blackout drunk and he just had his personal photos. I don't know what he's doing with those photos. I don't know if he's putting them on the internet. That I do have a problem with, and I agree with Steve. You can't exploit people or blackmail or put revenge porn. That's kind of off limits, and that's where you can start talking about felonious behavior. But as far as I know, this is just kind of like misdemeanor stuff. But I need to know more about what she's actually feels victimized by.
Well, that's the thing. She's trying to get back at her ex-boyfriend with this, and it's like. I mean, I guess you picked a bad guy. If you picked a guy that's going to post you naked on the internet, a guy with that, then pick better men is what I would say. Take some responsibility for your own actions and pick better men. On the other hand, if it's what you said, Blake, if it's secretly taping somebody and putting that stuff out, that should be a crime. I agree with that, especially if you're using it for some sort of black.
I mean, there's all kinds of things. It doesn't even have to be sexual. I mean, you and I could have a conversation about a contract that we're going to get with NBC, whatever. And they can take that information and use it against us so we don't get the contract or that somebody else gets the contract. I mean, it's the same thing. It's they are taking something that they should have never been privileged to and using it against you.
Yeah. That's blackmail.
For their personal gain.
Yeah, that's blackmail. That's not good. So anyway, that was the most amusing thing that happened in Congress today. And look, just to close it out, I have to say in the end, if we're going to do that, if Congress people are going to start showing naked photos of themselves in public in congressional hearings, I have two requests.
Yeah.
One,
AOC.
please not Jerry Nadler, and number two, Lauren Boebert, AOC, and Anna Paulina Luna, can you please follow up here? Can we go? Follow up. All right. Moving on to other issues. Former President Joe Biden was diagnosed with prostate cancer this week. It was a type of a very aggressive prostate cancer. It was the prognosis is not good. And Joe Biden has now the controversy is that this is all being a big cover up, that they've known he was sick for a long time. Here's Joe Biden 3 years ago telling us that he had cancer.
4-lane highway that was accessible. My mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening. You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. And why can't for the longest time, Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation. So damn many other people I grew up have cancer. And why I grew up have cancer. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer.
So
and why
he
can't
said
for the longest time,
he said right
Delaware
there
had the highest cancer.
that he has cancer. And then supposedly he didn't get any cancer tests. They said that he didn't. Doctors stopped screening for men over 75. That's bullshit. I want to go back. There is a thing. What is it? I don't have it here. Damn it. Okay, so it's Laura Loomer. But what I wanted to remind everybody is Laura Loomer told everybody last summer that Joe Biden had a terminal disease. She didn't say the C word, but it's true. That's what she was saying, that he had a medical emergency in Vegas. And doctors, a lot of doctors are saying it is implausible that he had, he's gotten to stage 4 in just the 4 months since he was given a clean bill of health, or 6 months or whatever it is. In August of 2024, his doctor examined him, said, no, there's no problem. They did blood work. His PSA was normal. Seems highly unlikely. And again, although we all thought it was fake when they gave him the vaccine, Joe Biden supposedly did take the vaccine in 4 or 5 different boosters. Brooks, what do you think?
It's all lies. I mean, the PSA test is a $5 test. I've had it every year for I don't know how many years. I'm 70 and I still get them. My numbers are low, so I don't have prostate cancer. But, prostate cancer normally is a very slow-moving cancer. When it gets in the wrong place at the wrong time, it can go pretty quickly once it metastasizes. It's like way more aggressive than breast cancer when it gets to that point. But they knew he was sick for a long, long time. They didn't care. All they needed was the auto pen. That's all they needed.
So, okay, so Steve, do you smell a cover up here? And isn't it highly implausible that he got this just in the last few months since he was examined in August? I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I don't think he got it within the last few months, but let's face reality. As the president of the United States, you know, you can get treatment that other people cannot. So, you know, they can get the latest and the greatest treatment from around the world that will hold the cancer at bay or eliminate it. So, you know, it's plausible that he got it 3 years ago and they've been able to hold it off. I mean, hell, I've been able to hold mine off, and I'm not the president. So, you know, it's totally feasible.
Okay, Blake, isn't this a criminal conspiracy to conceal the medical condition of the president of the United States? Isn't that a crime? Shouldn't everyone involved in this be investigated thoroughly, quickly, and shouldn't people go to jail for covering this up? Because it goes directly to his competency under the 25th Amendment, does it not?
Yeah. Excuse me. Absolutely. Yes. They committed treason. They were using it's not only like elder abuse. The elder was the president of the United States, and they were using him to pass their crazy radical legislation, open the border wide up, and everything else. And yeah, the auto pen, giving themselves all blanket pardons. Yep. Yeah, they're complicit in so much of it. There's so many people to root out and find out what they were doing, and they were going to keep this a secret and hopefully, you know, continue to push him through the next administration. They didn't want the public finding out because this is like the perfect puppet presidency. He can get everything done on their agenda, and if anything goes wrong, they flush him and they don't have to take any responsibility. They're behind the scenes. Nobody notices. Yeah. So yeah, they all have to be held accountable.
Okay. So you know, sadly, then the next day, the Dilbert Comics guy, Scott Adams, who is a reasonably strong conservative and become very popular, came out and said that, you know, he's got the same disease, the same issues, and he doesn't expect to make it past the summer. Let's listen to what Scott Adams had to say yesterday.
Some of you have already guessed, so this won't surprise you at all. But I have the same cancer that Joe Biden has. So I also have prostate cancer that has also spread to my bones. But I've had it longer than he's had it. Well, longer than he's admitted having it. So my life expectancy is maybe the summer. I expect to be checking out from this domain sometime this summer. Now,
okay, so Scott Adams is an interesting case because, like Joe Biden, he's a very smart guy, maybe a little too smart for his own good. He made a big deal that there was nothing to fear in the vaccines, that it was not that all of us were conspiracy theorists for saying, don't take this. It's going to screw up your DNA. It could lead to all kinds of unknown consequences, cancers, things like that. He took the vaccine, but he also later in that same thing. And it was a really tough thing to watch because he talked about how much pain he's in all the time and how he's going to maybe just in California, they made it legal to just, you know, basically take the hemlock and die. And he was looking at doing that. But by the way, Angel Heart says you look amazing for 70 years old. So there you go, Brooks. But he's very arrogant about it. And he took the vax, but then he reiterated it is not because of the vaccine that within the last 4 or 5 years since I took the vaccine, I've suddenly developed this cancer and I'm going to pass away. I guess where I want to throw this question is, you know, what do you think about this? And there's another stage to this that we want to talk about. But I mean, Brooks, how foolish are these people that took the vax. I mean, if
cannot blame the people because they were sold, they were deceived by the press and by the NIH and by the CDC. These people did not make informed decisions. And I'm, by the way, never going to forget that. I'm never going to forgive them for doing that. And, there are 108 million Americans that took that jab, and they're injured because of it. 73% of the dead, 73% of the dead have the vax related clots in their blood system, and it's probably the or one of the causes of death. 73% of the dead. They were not informed, they were fooled. So you can't say that it was the people's fault. They were just doing what they were told to do. And I mean, there were people, I know people that wanted to travel and they had to get the jab to get on a damn plane.
Yeah. But on the other hand, Steve, we were all informed and none of us took it. We were equally told that we need to do this and we didn't do it. So
trust
right.
them.
I mean, I was told if I didn't take it, I'd lose my job. So I said, okay, when's my last day? And they needed me too badly, so it never came up again.
Okay.
But,
okay.
Because somebody has to do the work, and if they don't have somebody to replace you with and do the work, then they kind of left you alone, and then they picked on people that were, that were more vulnerable than myself. And besides that, I mean, I could have been to work the next day somewhere else. So I literally said, fire me then, and they never did.
Okay. Blake, what do you think about this news? It's a little bit shocking, but at the same time predictable because, again, he was a big, you anti-vax people are crazy guy. He mocked us.
Yeah, no, it's too bad. He's a good guy. He's done a lot of great work. I was never really a Dilbert fan, but I appreciate what he's done. And I think he's come around a long way as kind of in his awakening process, if we want to call it that, and as a patriot. And I like the idea that he's sharing his wisdom now, and he's been sick a long time, and he's been very active. He went from just a cartoonist and wrote some books to actually kind of getting involved on these big cultural issues and putting out a lot of great information. It's not really my thing, but I know a lot of people that really like Scott Adams, and he's been able to present things in a way. It's been very interesting and refreshing for people. So yeah, it's sad that he's going to go out like this. He's an older gentleman, and it could be tied to the vaccines, and that is a danger. It's going to be a serious lesson for all of us to learn and going into the future, and how we trust the medical establishment and what they just did. So it's going to be a tough pill to swallow, and we're all going to have to reevaluate this and live with the consequences for a very long time.
Yeah, he came back, and then he did say a couple months ago, he said, you guys were right and I was wrong. And it's pretty interesting.
I'm going to tell you that the anti-vaxxers appear to be right. Somebody who did not get vaccinated, got a little Omicron, or maybe even a worse one, but recovered. Now you've got natural immunity, and you have no vaccination in you. Can we all agree that that was the winning path? The smartest, happiest people are the ones who didn't get the vaccination and are still alive. I want to make sure that I'm not leaving any wiggle room for myself. Have I? Have I said as clearly as possible they're the happy ones right now? And have a reason to be, completely. Having said as clearly as possible that the anti-vax people seem to be the winners, I want you to hear that clearly. The anti-vax people appear to be the winners.
Okay, so he did come around on that, and then he also said, as part of what he said the other day in his stream, he said, I tried ivermectin and fenbendazole. I worked with Dr. William Mackis, who's the most well-known guy on the internet, and it didn't work. In fact, after a few months, my PSA numbers went up. But Dr. Mackes then came in and responded, and it's amazing. I can no longer find Mackes's post on Twitter. I just went looking for it while we were talking. I thought I had it queued up, and it's buried somewhere. It's still out there, but it's really difficult to find on the show. But here's what Mackes said in response, because this was posted on Twitter, and Dr. Mackes came in and he said, look, I'm really sorry about this, Scott, but for every patient who doesn't respond, we adjust the dosing and the ivermectin treatment protocol, and we fight on and try to beat the cancer. I've had several situations where 1,000 milligrams of fenbendazole didn't work, but 2,000 milligrams did. I've had situations where 1,000 milligrams of fenbendazole didn't work, but 1,000 milligrams of menbendazole did work in conjunction with the ivermectin. I've had situations where 1,000 milligrams of menbendazole didn't work, but 2,000 milligrams did. You get the idea. You can't give up if it doesn't work on the first try. That's the key. So again, Adams kind of went out on his shield, basically trashing the Dr. Mackes and the ivermectin fenben protocol. But Mackes says 75% of his patients respond to the basic initial protocol. Their cancers shrink to nothing or almost nothing. They disappear. Yep. So Brooks, I know you know a lot about this. What concerns me here and why this is an issue for me is that it's going to keep people from trying alternate treatments.
Yeah, it will.
I mean, I don't agree with that, because he didn't do it the right way, and he didn't try it. You know, he didn't stick with it. So go ahead.
I don't have that big a database. I only have 42,000 customers to go by, but I get mail every single day from spouses who are treating their spouse with ivermectin and with fenbendazole. And I can't tell you, the mail is unbelievably positive. There are people with terminal lung cancer, breast cancer, cervical cancer, prostate cancer, melanoma, all kinds of stuff. Now they have to take 36 milligrams a day, which the normal dose is 12, but it works. Cancer, these cancer storms that are happening in people look and act like parasites. And this antiparasitic drug works against them so that your immune system can kick it the hell out of your body. That's how it works. So I can only tell you from my customer base, and mine's direct. This is mano a mano, people writing me directly and telling me, oh my God, my husband's bleeding stopped. Like unreal stuff I'm getting every day.
Okay. Steve, I want to go to you because it's personal for you, and I want to get you together with Dr. Mackes, and I want you to try these different protocols. And I'm just asking you, I know you've tried a lot of things with your issues. I don't know how comfortable you are talking about this, or if you don't want to talk about it, we cannot talk about it. What do you think about this? And what do you think about Scott Adams' attitude? I mean,
first of all, anybody, if they tell you you've got cancer and only so much time to live, and you accept that, you're probably going to die.
Exactly.
Everybody I know who accepts the word of the medical professional that, you might get a year, you might get 2 years, whatever, 6 months, typically within the time frame they're given, they die.
And nobody's surprised.
And the ones who don't die are the ones who, like myself, go, you're not God. You don't tell me, what day I'm going to go, and I'm going to continue to fight it till I can't fight it anymore. So in my case, I started off, changed my diet, which pretty much killed the cancer. My problem is I have a tumor. The tumor is shrinking, but it's not shrinking quickly. So a lot of my issues come from the tumor not going away. Mm-hmm. And before I was using things like Indian mud, diet. I just recently, when I say recently, within the last 3 months, I started using the ivermectin and the, how do you pronounce it? Fenbendazole.
Fenbendazole, but we've kind of figured out that you weren't doing it anywhere near
the level. And then the other thing that's been very helpful, that's been very, very helpful from the beginning, has been DMSO. I don't know if you know what DMSO is.
Yeah, I do know. Yeah.
But I take what they call cold shot. It doesn't taste bad if you put it in extreme cold water. And what that does is it turns cancer cells back into regular cells and or just destroys them and gets rid of them out of your system. It also causes any medication you take to work more efficiently and more effectively.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple of shots of that a day. I mean, even if you're on regular prescription meds, it's gonna help you. So it tastes like nasty garlic, like the worst garlic you've ever had in your life, but it's doable.
Yeah.
So, when you add things like that into your diet, like I said, I went from bedridden, basically praying to God, either kill me or save me, because it was that bad. All I could do was shake and sweat. I ruined a mattress. I soaked it through. I couldn't eat, couldn't get up, couldn't do anything. And then the next day, after I prayed, I literally got up, came into the living room. Everybody looked at me and they're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm hungry." And they're like, "Okay, so can we get you something to eat?" And they're all looking at me like, "When's he going to fall on his face?"
And you never did.
At that point, things started to improve. But I started watching myself more because, see, at that juncture, when this all took place, I was working and I was more concerned about making money and taking care of my family than I was taking care of me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing things that I wasn't getting any rest. I wasn't doing things like I should. I was like working a 14-hour day and shoving a McDonald's hamburger down my throat because that's all I had. And then once I started taking things seriously and doing and watching what I did and watching what I do and drinking lots of good water. By the way, this is my other theory. People will probably dispute it, but I live where they probably got some of the best drinking water in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I take a special filter when I go out of town, and it doesn't filter it enough. And so what I actually started doing now is taking water from my home with me or buying Mountain Valley spring water, because I can actually feel a difference when I drink water from certain locations than from here. I mean, when I was in Louisiana, don't want to get sued by anybody, but when I was in Louisiana, even with the filter that I took, which supposedly takes 99.9% of the garbage out of the water, when I would drink it, I could literally feel it running through my system. And then when I looked up, it was one of the most contaminated public water systems in the world.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I live in Las Vegas where they did all the nuclear testing here in Nevada, and it got right down to the water table. So you just don't drink the water in Vegas. I'll tell you that.
But you gotta, but see, you just don't drink bottled water either. Because I mean, if you look at the bottle of water and it has more than just water in it, something's wrong.
Yeah.
It should say water.
So you think Mountain Valley spring water is the way to go? That's your
favorite.
Yeah,
because it's been around since 1899. It's like 99.999% pure. It comes from the same aqueduct that I get my home water out of.
Right.
It comes in a glass bottle. I realize it's expensive, but if you, you can wheel and deal. Like we got a place here, and if you buy it by the case, they'll give it to you for almost half off. So, but the thing is, it's like, or get yourself. I'm trying to think of the water cleaning system that I carry around with me. It's been around for years and years. They actually used it in London. I'm drawing a blank. I'll think of it in a minute. But anyway, get yourself a good water purification system, and don't trust, like people think, if you go and you get the reverse osmosis water like that you get in the bottle, you fill it up yourself from Walmart or something, that they're getting good water. You're not. A lot of times they don't even have the system hooked up. You're just getting sink water.
Wow.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, I mean, again, I am sympathetic to Scott Adams, but I feel a little bit irritated because he's, bringing disrepute on something that I think has done amazing things.
People, you know, like I said, some people, they just get tired and they give up. I mean, I can't tell you, you know, I'm not going to tell you it's been, you know, wine and roses for me. I've had days where I was so sick and I just wanted to give up. I just was like, you know, I'd just rather be dead.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I mean, when you literally cannot function and you're laying there and all you can do is shake because you're in so much pain and you can't do anything, you're like, this is not living. This, you know, just take me now.
Yeah.
But, you know, you have to push through all that. You have to say, look, I'm going to have good days. I'm going to have bad days. And fortunately for me, again, by the grace of God, I truly believe that I've had way more good days than I've had bad days. And the things that have happened to me recently, you know, they were flukes. It was just bizarre shit that, you know,
well, you know what?
You know what?
Al, you know what? The next time your girl says you need to go to the emergency room, you fucking go with her.
I hear you, but I'm saying it was just bizarre. It was stuff that doesn't happen to freaking anybody.
The next
time
your girl
I hear you. I hear what you're saying, but I'm saying from a perspective, from my perspective, I had told you I had been sick. And I thought I picked up the flu because you know, who knows, went to the doctor's office, touched something, whatever. I completely recovered and felt great. Then come the weekend, come that Saturday, I was sick again and only really, really, really sick. And I'm like, oh my God, this must be phase 2 of whatever the bug was. Now she ended up, you know, trumping me and you know, calling an ambulance. But the reality is that, you know, we don't always make the right decision. I mean, you know, we think we know what's going on. I mean, I was sick the weekend before, totally got over it, totally was doing everything that I wanted to do. And then boom, it hit me again. I thought, oh, it's one of those crazy bugs that gets you a couple of times. So, you know, should I have listened? Yeah. But I mean, I honestly thought it was the flu.
Yeah. Well, let me just tell you something. If you're taking the right dosage of ivermectin, you don't get the flu.
That's right.
I haven't been sick. What was it? 3-4 years ago when we were driving back from Sholo and Brooks told me I can get you ivermectin. And I'm like, what the hell? Really? And I got it from him. I haven't had so much as a cold. If I have the slightest symptoms, I start taking it. It goes away. It's that simple. I know a lot of people take it every day, and I've started taking it every day. Just
the issue that I had, ivermectin wouldn't have touched it because it was just a fluke deal, and nothing basically.
Well, yeah,
we had to go in. I had to get emergency surgery. It had. I mean, that's the only thing that could fix it.
Yep. All right. That is a big issue because it's something we've talked about and we warned you about. By the way, Blake, I'm sure you know this. 48-44 Timberwolves at halftime. I hope I don't ruin that for you. We got to get Blake out of here so he can go watch the second half of the game. But there are other issues that have come up. Unbelievably, Dan Bongino, the deputy director of the FBI, and Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, went on Fox News the other day. And I'm just gonna play this. It's like, it's nuts. It's okay, great. That's a picture of the video. It's not the actual video. Great. Here we go. Let me go find the video. Oh, by the way, expert says men who suck women's breasts to prevent cancer. They should do that. So keep that in mind, guys.
All right.
Where is Bongino and there we are. There we are, some ivermectin. Okay, I thought that was a video. It's not a video. It's where is Bongino? Where are they? I know they're here. I apologize for not being prepared. Lots of Manchester City stuff. Fuck. Okay. All right. Hang on. Let's look at the search.
I might have one.
Epstein. This is really awful. Okay.
I got one. Well, I'll send one to you if you don't have it.
Okay. Well, I had it, I thought, and then it's like, oh, look at this again. The video. I mean, Bongino Epstein should come right up immediately. Here's the interview. All right, here we go. I finally got it. Let's listen to these two fucking clowns talk about the Epstein case.
You know what, Maria? Cash is not kidding. We've been personally briefed extensively on every single detail, nugget, tendril of this case. One is actively in court right now, so out of respect for the case, it's probably more appropriate that I stay quiet on that. However, I'm not going to tell people what they want to hear. I'm going to tell you the truth, and whether you like it or not is up to you. If there was a big explosive there, right? Given my history as a Secret Service agent and my personal friendship as a director does with the president, give me one logical, sensible reason we would not have. If you can think of one, there isn't. There in some of these cases, the there you're looking for is not there. And I know people, I get it. I understand. It's not there.
Okay, so sorry, that's the wrong video, but let's talk about this and then we'll flip over to the Epstein case. That is the video where the dickhead says there is nothing at all unusual about the attempt on Donald Trump's life in Butler, Pennsylvania. There's no there's nothing there's nothing to look at. My response to this is going to be the same as it is on the next one we're going to do about Epstein. Fine. Then give us every single fucking document, every statement that you've looked at, completely unredacted, and let us decide that. We're not going to accept your word because the guy who's dead that they say is Crooks, Thomas Crooks, sure as hell looks exactly like Maxwell Urich. And if it's not Maxwell Urich, then where the fuck is Antifa's Maxwell Urich? Because we haven't seen him. Brooks, you saw this. What do you think about this interview?
I think the whole thing stinks. The whole thing stinks because there was too much premeditation. Trump had, 95 or 96 events that year. CNN aired one of them, that one, because they wanted to be there live when Trump went down. And when Trump went down, everybody at CNN was doing jumping jacks. When Trump stood up, they knew they just lost the election. That's what it was. It was premeditated. The fact that the Secret Service did not conduct the security meeting like they always do, the fact that there was no chatter by the Secret Service at all until 3 minutes after the shooting, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen ever. I've been to Trump events. I've seen the Secret Service there. That does not happen. That was all by design. It stinks. Everything about this thing stinks.
Blake, what do you think about the claim from Dan Bongino and Kash Patel? And we'll get into what it says about them. I want to get to that. This is another question. What do you think about their claim that there's absolutely nothing strange about the Butler assassination attempt or anything we have to look into? What do you think about that, Blake?
No, we're blindsided by this. This is terrible turn of events. We would have trusted these guys. We would have been thrilled if they would have told us this like a year ago. Oh, yeah, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino are going to be in charge, and they're going to have rights to pull out this stuff about the assassination or the Epstein or what have you. And, yeah, I can't believe that now they're playing stupid about this, or they were briefed by the wrong people. But yeah, they seem to have no curiosity, no real explanation of the specifics. Just kind of a trust me, bro. This is, there's nothing there. So now we're just supposed to believe them based on the fact that we liked them a month ago. And I still think they're good patriots. There must be some explanation, but if they don't give us anything, then they're going to be suspicious and they're going to lose their credibility from a lot of the people in this.
Yeah, pretty quickly.
I will say this. I trust Laura Loomer more than I trust those two clowns right now.
Yeah. I agree with that. Steve Doran, Trail Boss, you are an investigator. I'm not a cop. I'm not an investigator. But I can see that this stinks. You've exposed big government corruption before. What do you think?
First of all, there's no way some kid is going to, get all the ammunition, all the information that he needed to just walk up there, climb on a roof, and try to take out the president. They're lying through their teeth. They need to be replaced, as does Pam Bondi. They are becoming part of the problem, not part of the solution. To say that this kid acted alone, had no help with all of the things that we know occurred, with the Secret Service not doing their job, with the Secret Service not meeting with the local law enforcement officials. I mean, there are things, when I looked at that situation, I worked a lot of Secret Service details as a policeman. And, we were constantly checking roofs, constantly patrolling, constantly making sure there were no ladders, constantly making sure there was no access, constantly moving, constantly meeting with the Secret Service and other entities. And it's like, and for them to say that everything was just a coincidence is total 100% bullshit, and they need to be fired for it. And you can say, oh, well, they got a bad briefing. Well, they're supposed to be smarter than that, and they should know that they got a bad briefing and fire that person and get to the bottom of it. They're not doing it. They need to go.
Yeah.
Bondi. She needs to
Yeah,
go.
this is exactly what I say about the Seattle Seahawks drafting, how they draft and how they trade and stuff like that. The point is, when you look at what I would have done versus what they do, my team is probably better. And people are like, well,
they're a total.
Like, the point is, they're supposed to be smarter than I am. That's the whole problem. If I'm just as good as them, then I should be doing it, right?
They're a total 100% disappointment to the American people. 100% disappointment because they cannot be trusted, because they are clearly lying. Trump needs to ditch him. He needs to replace him. He doesn't need to, and then when you hear the press secretary defend him, it's like, oh, you want these people on your team. Oh, they're such good team players. She will not answer the question. She just dances around that they're team players. It's more bullshit. They need to friggin' go.
Yep, that's not answering the question. And guess what, guys? It gets worse. Here's Dan Bongino, and Kash Patel did this also, responding about whether Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. You are not going to fucking believe this.
If it was there, we would have told you. You know what, Maria? Kash is not kidding. We've been personally briefed extensively on every single
same video.
Detail, nugget, tendril of this case. One is actively in court right now.
Okay, that's the same one. Why am I getting the same one?
Okay, so we're talking about, Epstein killing himself. So based on what they're saying, somebody was negligent. If he did kill himself, somebody was negligent because he was supposedly on suicide watch, and they're supposed to be watching him 24/7, not letting him out of their sight. So where did he get the materials to kill himself, and who was negligent? They're acting like it was just an everyday occurrence, which is, again, bullshit.
All right, I've got it queued up. Here we go.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
I know a liar when I see one. When his eyes shift to the right, he's lying.
I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
You said Jeffrey.
I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
Okay, I've seen the whole file. Okay, so again, let's go back to
give us the file. Who wasn't doing their job? Who wasn't watching when they were supposed to be watching? Who wasn't doing what they were supposed to be doing?
Exactly. Two things that I want to put out here. If you've seen the file, then show us the file, because guess what? We know you're fucking lying. The only question now is, why are you lying? There are people saying that the only way this makes any sense is if these two guys are traitors, not just to Donald Trump, but to America, because they're lying about this, trying to be part of the cover-up, or that Epstein is not dead and he is in witness protection and they are trying to protect him by saying he committed suicide. If the file exists, then release the fully unredacted files, every single fucking one of them that you've seen. What's classified about this? This is not a national security interview issue. Nothing. They should they not, gentlemen, be releasing this entire file?
This is a person who killed themselves in custody. Has nothing to do with national security. Nothing.
Right.
But we heard Pam Bondi say that the reason she hasn't released the files is because there are national security concerns. You know what? That's exactly why you should release the files. Because if national security is tied up into who was grab-assing with Menudo in a hot tub on Epstein Island, then we need to get to the bottom of it right now.
Yep. Blake, what are your thoughts on this one? This one is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I would agree with Brooks that Cash Patel is very much being deceptive. And Dan Bongino, he looks like he's spooked, but I don't believe either one of them. I don't know if they believe themselves. And it's been exposed by many people, just the circumstances of this case, that Jeffrey Epstein had his neck broken in 3 different places. These security guards, they fell asleep and the cameras happened.
Cameras went off and yeah.
Epstein's got like a paper sheet, and what happened to his cellmate? Like, this is the perfect storm, and they'd been building it up for a couple of weeks as though this prison had a problem with the lack of employees, and that they were all working double shifts, and there was just so much overtime, and that's why they pushed them to that level. And then there's some weird testimony from Patrick Byrne, who was a credible guy, claiming that there's a whistleblower talking about how there was such a high-level assassination that perhaps they even leaked gas into the prison, that area, so the guards didn't actually fall asleep. They were knocked out from whatever gas. And then that's when the world-class hitmen came in there to take him out. But I love your story better. I hope that they're just playing stupid because Epstein's under witness protection and they're going to drop a bombshell.
Well, that's the only hope that I have, because look, here's the thing. If I'm the press, I'm going to ask Donald Trump the next time he takes questions, how is this believable? Because everybody knows he didn't commit suicide. And if he did, then release all of the files. What's the problem, right?
Yeah, I would say, don't make me send Laura Loomer down there.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's just hard to believe. Big dogs, I can only say this. If the Seahawks are more reliable at putting a team together, I'm just going to say this. If I was in charge of the team, CJ Stroud would be the Seahawks quarterback, not Sam Darnold. So there you go. I win. Okay. I don't know. I don't see how these two guys can continue in their jobs unless the files are released and they're right and they turn out to be right based on everything. But I don't think that's going to happen.
But I mean, that's why they don't put guys like me in that position, because I'm honest. I would come out. I would tell the truth. They're still putting political hacks in those positions who are beholding to not only the president, but to their Democratic handlers, because they've got something on them, or they have some threat hanging over their head. I really don't give a shit. When I go in to work a job like that, and I go in, it's like, get me if you can. I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to release everything I know, and I'm going to make it public. Now, if it were truly a national security event that would get a bunch of people killed, I wouldn't do it. But I would explain exactly why I'm not doing it. And to the American people, I wouldn't just go national security. I'd go, look, there are like 500 people who could be killed if I release this information, so I'm not going to. But I am going to release all the rest of it. And so when I see these guys, as soon as I see them start dancing around, they are bought and freaking paid for.
Yeah, I'm with Steve, and I would love him to do it. Get on there and say, look, okay, he's not dead. He's in witness protection, and that's all I can tell you right now for national security reasons. A bunch of people would die if I told you. That would be it. Done. Finished.
Yeah. The thing is, too, is look,
I mean, let's face reality. Since the president took office, we're hearing from Elon Musk. Oh, we got these people taking trillions of dollars. Da 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 da. I'm so scared. I don't even want to release information because I'm afraid they're going to kill me. How many arrests have there been? How many indictments have there been on any of that? None. Zero. So that's what's so aggravating. Oh, we've got all this evidence. We've got trillions of dollars being stolen. We've got a guy who, gets $5 million a month in Social Security and uses all these Social Security numbers. They have not even identified the son of a bitch. It's like, I'm so sick and tired of it. It's, the president's going to be coming out with a big announcement and people are going to be going to jail. It's everybody that's going to jail. It's little people that don't matter, like that judge who hid that guy.
Yep.
We don't give a shit about that. We want the guy that took the trillions of dollars.
We give a shit about that.
We want the guys that have been stealing for years. We want the guys that have been traitors to our country, that have been traitors to our country. We want those people indicted in prison. We don't care about these, little underlings that, whatever, hit a guy for an hour and a half.
James Comey posts 8647 on his Instagram.
Again, here's another one. He refused.
He gets a stern talking to.
Why isn't he in jail?
He gets a stern indicted. Roger Stone gets perp walked at 6:30 in the morning by a SWAT team, a 68-year-old man, and James Comey gets to ride in the front seat of a Lincoln Continental to have a stern talking to by the FBI. Fuck this. Arrest these people.
President Trump, come on this show, answer our questions. We're not going to berate you. All we're going to do is ask you straight out why this stuff isn't happening. You want to go on a show, that
I dare you,
tells the truth?
I dare you. Alternative media time in the White House press room.
You come on our show, we're going to ask you specific questions, and we don't want anybody to tell us what we can ask, what we can't, and we're going to ask you specific questions: why these people are not being identified, why these people are not going to jail, why Bondi isn't doing what she's supposed to do, why isn't Kash Patel doing what he's supposed to do? You want to tell the American people what's going on? Come on this show, and we'll make sure everybody knows about it.
Or listen up, Caroline Levitt. You give us a slot at the National Press Club.
There we go.
Us a slot in that press room, and we'll ask.
No, give Mike or Brooks a slot. It's fine with me.
Yeah, we'll get the best question ever presented at to Caroline Leavitt, which is going to be, so Nancy Mace was naked on the House floor today. Are you going to do a news briefing? No, apparently not. I'm not going to ask.
But again, I mean, everything is going back to the smoke and mirrors, and it's pissing me off.
Yep.
Nobody's being forthright with information. Nobody's coming. If you got a guy that's stealing $1 trillion, why aren't you identifying him?
Yeah, exactly.
If you've got an organization that's stealing billions of dollars, why are you not identifying that organization? And all this bullshit that's going on.
Here's what I think.
He needs to do what Biden did and ignore them and move forward. He needs to just say, "Kiss my ass. You have no authority over me. Goodbye. I'm doing my job. Good luck to you. Kiss off."
Here's what I think they're going to do. I think with Doge, I think they're going to give us some sort of payout. Maybe it'll be for a year. Maybe it'll be forever. They're just going to give us a payout, and then nobody's going to ask a question about what happened to the people that you caught. It's great that you caught $375 billion in fraud, or $2 trillion or $6 trillion in fraud, and you're giving us the money back, which, by the way, we all know is actually our money in the first place. But they're not going to do anything.
These people work for us.
Yeah.
They don't, we don't work for them. What they're trying to do is turn the tables like we're their employees, right?
Yeah.
They're talking to us like we're their underlings. They work for us. The American people need to get out, do what we're doing, scream their heads off, and go, look, we don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent. We don't give a crap.
And
we want to know.
Steve Doran, Trail Boss, this is why you need to be on Twitter X, engaging in the conversation with your background and the depth and breadth of your experience. You need to be a presence on that platform, because
we're talking about due process here, okay? You got 13 senators that have been found to have been taking cartel bribes for years.
Mm-hmm.
Arrest them. Try them, convict them, and sentence them. That's called due process.
Yep, that is due process.
Do you even hear that they're trying to indict them? No.
Okay. All right. By the way, I forgot Diana from MikeBarrettPets.com. Wonderful website, mushroom-based supplements for healing all kinds of different diseases. She used that stuff. Link is in the description. She used the Coriolis Versicolor. They've also had tremendous success with the mushrooms. So, everybody try different things. If you're sick or if you took the jab, you got to try all these things.
Don't give up. The big thing is don't give up.
Yep. it's getting late, guys, so I want to do one more issue.
I'm just going to tell you, everybody who's watching, he's lying. He wants to finish his oatmeal cookies.
Take a bite of it.
There you go. Joe Biden's auto pen, speaking of arrests, Joe Biden's auto pen could be in a lot of trouble. Let's listen to President Trump just the other day.
Oh, that's the right page. Is there supposed to be volume, Mike? I think you might be on the wrong tab.
I just had my physical. You saw that. You saw the results of that particular test. I think that test is standard to pretty much anybody getting a physical, good physical. We had the doctors at the White House and over at Walter Reed, which is a fantastic hospital, do it. I did a very complete physical, including cognitive tests. I'm proud to announce I aced it. Got them all. I got them all right. You proud of me? Yes. Your husband would be proud of me for getting them all right. It's a little risk. If I didn't get them all right, these people would be after me. It would be not a good situation. But I think, frankly, anybody running for president should take a cognitive test. They say it's unconstitutional, but I would say in that particular case, having a cognitive test wouldn't be so bad. But when you take tests, medical tests, as a male, that test is very standard. I don't know if it's given to everybody, but it's given just about. And it takes a long time to get to that situation. Now, I think to get to a stage 9, I think that if you take a look, it's the same doctor that said that Joe was cognitively fine. There was nothing wrong with him. Well, he said, if it's the same doctor, he said there was nothing wrong there. That's being proven to be a sad situation. And the auto pen is becoming a very big deal. The auto pen is becoming a big deal because it seems like that maybe was the president who ever operated the auto pen. But when they say that that was not good, they also, you have to look and you have to say that the test was not so good either. In other words, there are things going on that the public wasn't informed, and I think somebody's going to have to speak to his doctor. If it's the same, or even if it's 2 separate doctors, why wasn't the cognitive ability, why wasn't that discussed? And I think the doctor said he's just fine, and it's turned out that's not so. It's very dangerous. Look, this is no longer politically correct. This is dangerous for our country. Look at the mess when you're talking about all these questions on Ukraine and Russia. That would have never happened. As an example of our president, would have never happened. The other thing is you have to say, why did it take so long? I mean, this takes a long time. It can take years to get to this level of danger.
That's right.
So it's a very, very sad situation, and I feel very badly about it. And I think people should try and find out what happened, because I'll tell you, I don't know if it had anything to do with the hospital. Walter Reed is really good. They're some of the best doctors I've ever seen. I don't even know if they were involved, but a doctor was involved in each case. Maybe it was the same doctor, and somebody is not telling the facts. It's a big problem.
Okay, so unfortunately, that was not about the auto pen. The auto pen's becoming a big deal because it seems like whoever was operating the auto pen, we were supposed to be about the auto pen, but it wasn't. Guys, this auto pen thing, they're now saying, sorry about that video, but they're now saying that the auto pen is going to be, the people who are running it, they know who they are, they're saying, and they are going to prosecute them. Do you believe that, Blake? Wally, do you believe that?
Yeah, I just shared a post there from Trump on Truth Social about the auto pen scandal, and he's saying, Joe Biden back in the day was not for open borders, for example. So perhaps he was just completely used by his closest advisors that have been with them for 40 years, influence from Hillary or Obama or whoever, but they were using him as their political puppet. And it's a massive scandal, maybe the biggest in American history. And yeah, there needs to be treason charges for a lot of these people for what they've done. And they all need to be rooted out and interrogated.
And all the pardons need to be rescinded.
Well, the thing is, can they show that Joe Biden was not consciously aware or did not actually put his signature authentically on those pardons? If they can, then those pardons are all null and void, are they not?
Well, they tested all the signatures and they're all identical.
Yeah. Steve, any thoughts on Joe Biden's auto pen and the people behind it? Aren't the people who did this, aren't they guilty of treason and basically deceiving the American people?
Well, 100%. I mean, here we go again. Should they be rooted out? Should they be prosecuted for what they've done? Should they be exposed for everything that's gone down? Yeah. Am I going to hold my breath? No, because I'll turn blue and die before it happens.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Every time they say they're going to do something and then they don't do it, they bring up another one that they're going to do, and then it doesn't happen. So, you want me to believe you? You want me to believe that the government's changed, that Trump is really making a difference? Let's get these people that have mishandled our tax dollars, not the government money, our money. Let's go after these people. Let's identify these people by name, who they are, where the money went, and when are they going to freaking prison.
Right.
And then the rest of this stuff should fall right into place.
Yeah, I agree with you. And we've already waited too long. It's been 7, 8, 9 years now.
I mean, if you knew in the first 100 days that, you name it, congressman, senator, whatever, was stealing billions, trillions of dollars, whatever, sending it to our enemies to be used against us, that should be something that was instantaneously, they should have gone after him for treason and put him under the freaking prison until their trial.
Yep. By the way, Diana from MikeBarrettPets.com, the Mushroom Lady, is going to send you some of the mushroom stuff for free because she loves you. Thinks you're awesome.
Talking about me?
Yeah. So I need you to text me your address after this is over.
Oh, okay.
I'll send it to Diana or send it to Diana. Okay. There is one last issue. This is actually, I've had this tab open for a week on my browser. I wanted to talk about this last week. You guys remember the spy balloon scandal, 2023, 2024, where there were these spy balloons coming over and there was all this weirdness and they shot them down. But then when they showed us what they looked like something out of Star Wars and nobody knows what the fuck they were. Well, guess what? It turns out fucking creep, lying piece of shit, fake senator from Arizona, Mark Kelly, is a fucking traitor. And he's the one who apparently started a, get this, spy balloon company a few years ago with money from the goddamned Chinese. Here we go. Let's just look at this. According to Fox News, former astronaut Mark Kelly started a spy balloon company funded by China. Now, it goes on to say that Kelly was reportedly on a short list of running mate contenders under consideration by Vice President Kamala Harris. Started this Arizona-based company, Worldview, in 2012 with a vision to provide space tourism from stratospheric balloons. But some of these balloons, this guy, by the way, is a complete creep who's married to Gabby Giffords, who wants to take your guns away, and compromised by the Chinese. And by the way, when he was in high school, dressed like Hitler. So for Halloween, because he thought it would be funny. So anyway, Tencent is one of these. The company's named Tencent. It's one of China's largest corporations. It was founded in 1998. Blah 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 blah. It has a net worth of $32 billion, and they funded Mark Kelly's Chinese. They funded his balloon company. Let me tell you what else they funded. They funded his 2 fake Senate campaigns in Arizona, where massive voter fraud in Maricopa County led to his quote-unquote victories in the most conservative county pretty much in the United States. This fucking commie, this guy needs to go away for treason forever. Tell me I'm wrong, Brooks.
You're dead right. I've never have liked the guy, but the statements he's made in the last month have just been nothing short of treason. And what's been found out, what he's kept secret about the spy balloon company, about other monies that he's received from the Chinese, I think he should be expelled from the Senate.
Steve, is there any doubt that he's been funded by the Chinese for quite some time? Obviously, his whole fake political career.
Absolutely not. I mean, from the beginning, he's been either funded by Soros or the Chinese, and the fact that he has this spy balloon company, that's enough right there to begin an investigation and get an indictment against him. And which brings me to the other situation with the drones on the East Coast. So everybody seemed to have swept that under the carpet. Oh yeah, they were American drones. Well, the spy balloons were American balloons because they were supplied by Kelly. So are the drones, something that he supplied or the Chinese through an American supplier supplied to see what would happen and how we would respond to it? I mean, these are things that, again, it just puts a bad light on the current administration. Why aren't they getting to the bottom of this stuff?
Yeah,
I mean, there's no reason not to. You can't say, oh, he's a sitting senator, so there's nothing we can, they've arrested a lot of sitting senators and congressmen throughout history.
Yep.
Blake, there is no one. People ask me, who do you want to see arrested first? Hillary, Obama? No, Mark Kelly is the top of my list. Because you know what? He's a linchpin that if you prove that he stole his Senate seats, that he was funded by China, it would show how corrupt the Democrats and the rhinos have been for decades. So I want him to go first. What do you think about this guy, and what do you think ought to happen to him?
Yeah, I think that's a great gateway. And yeah, they could absolutely try him. I mean, they actually did sort of take down Bob Menendez, which was shocking.
Right. Took him twice.
Yeah, but so while sitting president, they went on a 2-year fishing expedition to try to prove that he was, colluding with the Russians. But now it's clear that Mark Kelly here is colluding with the communist Chinese. So it deserves an investigation, and whether he's sitting.
But when they go after somebody, Blagojevich as an example, it's always somebody who steps outside of the official narrative or threatens to expose the truth about what's going on. There's always a reason. Menendez did some things that pissed the Democrats off. So no one who's truly conservative, really ever the people who truly are after this, breaking this thing up, they're the ones that are just getting ignored. But every so often they throw you a piece of red meat like Menendez.
Well, oftentimes you see Democrats get themselves in trouble, but only after, like John Conyers, they outlive their usefulness. When they outlive their usefulness for bringing money into the Democrat Party, then they'll move them out and get rid of them. Yeah. Like this lady that basically body slammed her way into the ICE facility.
Yeah,
they've now charged her. They've indicted her. They've charged her. She's going to trial. That is grounds for expulsion from Congress right there. When you're indicted for a felony, it's grounds for expulsion. They don't wait for the trial to be done with. That's already the appearance of impropriety, and they can expel you from Congress. And they're going to do it. But she does not have any usefulness to the Democrat Party.
Yep. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. Long show tonight. Sorry about that. Many things to talk about. A lot of frustration. I would describe that as being frustration is the main thing that we have to express tonight. It's not. I don't think it's going very well. I think that all of Trump's trade deals are great. I think the Saudi Arabia trip is great. We didn't get
relative to that.
Yes.
Relative to that, Trump said he's going to be watching Walmart, not to see if they raise their prices on the Chinese stuff. Walmart's been raising the price on the American-made stuff.
Interesting.
So I just bought a bed. Made in America. And I wanted to buy a couch, but I'm going to wait a little bit on it. And the guy said, well, you better hurry up because the prices are going to go up. I said, why? He said, all the Chinese tariffs. I said, why should I pay for that? That's an American-made couch.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Watch them very closly.
All
First
right.
of all, I will not shop at Walmart.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, they're communist pukes, and I won't buy anything from them. I buy local.
Home Depot also. Or sorry,
Yeah.
Lowe's, not Home Depot.
Lowe's.
Lowe's, yeah.
Yep. Buy a lot from Lowe's.
All right, boys, that's going to wrap it up. We're going to let Blake go watch his game. Enjoy your whiskey there, buddy.
Go
Thanks,
Timberwolves.
Brooks. Thanks, Brooks. Steve, it's great to have you back. Text me your address. I'll get the mushroom lady. I'll get you started
You
on
have
that.
it on your phone.
You need to get on Twitter, Steve, because
I'll have my electronic assistant hook me up.
There you go. Because Twitter is a great place for opinions, especially smart, educated opinions like yours. So, all right, and Brooks's, and Blake's, and mine. Thank you guys. Love you guys. I'll be back tomorrow with Real News Live with Mike and Jen, and then in the evening we're going to be doing